Scheduled meeting for the month of May of 2013. We're privileged tonight to have with us Brother Rich Cook from Portland Church of Nazarene. I'll ask you to stand at this time as he'll do our invocation.
Let's pray together. Jesus, we thank you for this day. We thank you for this time that we come together. God, we thank you for our town, for the people that this council represents, for the families, and for our community. God, we pray your blessing and your provision for our town. We pray, God, that you would bless us with great wisdom, that you would touch this council as they lead us, that you would give them good and godly counsel and help them to listen. Lord, we pray for our families, for our schools, for our police, fire, for our health care providers, for all those that make us a better city. God, we pray that you would touch them and bless them and lead us and guide us. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Let's pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Brother Rich. Appreciate you coming and all you do for the communities. Thank you. Roll call, Ms. King.
Alderman Bratton. Alderman Callis.
Here.
Alderman Coker.
Here.
Alderman Hardin.
Here.
Vice President Dow.
Here.
Alderman Nennis.
Here.
Alderman White.
Here.
All right, thank you. Next, we need approval of minutes of the meetings of March 25th, April the 1st, the 8th, 15th, and 22nd. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
I so move.
Have a second. Any comments or questions on the minutes? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next, we need the approval of the agenda. Do we have a motion to get the agenda on the floor?
So move.
Do we have a second?
Second.
I need to add one item, it's something Tricia handed out and we just got it today. The job has been completed. It's Lake Springs Road. There was a change. The state allowed some extra time. We need to do a resolution so we can get all of our monies back that we paid out for it. So I want to add that on to the end of legislative. Like I said, we just apologize, but we just got it in the mail today, and if we could expedite that, that would help us. And only other thing, when we adjourn the meeting tonight, if you could stay just for a minute or two, Doug's want to hand out some stuff on the budget and talk about the work study. We won't take very long, just to give you some information and get ready for the work study this next Monday night. Does anybody else have anything to the agenda? All in favor with the change, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, next we have two public hearings, and these public hearings are on these two items only. The first is ordinance 13-09. It's an ordinance adopting the job description for the position of collections and billing manager for the city of Portland. Does anyone in the audience wish to address this ordinance this time? This ordinance only. Does anyone wish to address it? If not, public hearing be closed on this ordinance. Next is ordinance 13-10. It's an ordinance to amend the Title 8, Section 8-217 of the Portland Municipal Code of the City of Portland. This deals with the number of permits for consumption of beer and the sale of beer in the City of Portland. Does anyone wish to make any comments on this ordinance? If not, public hearing be closed on this ordinance. Next, you have your reports. Do we have a motion to approve the reports?
So move.
Have a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions? All in favor of the reports say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next, communication from mayor and alderman. Does any of the aldermen have anything they wish to communicate to the public this time? If not, I just encourage everybody to, this is a big week for the city of Portland, Strawberry Week. Ended up Saturday with our big strawberry parade, and hopefully the weather will turn around and be kind to us toward the end of the week. And this week's got all kinds of activities, starting tomorrow with the Chamber Golf Tournament, and go to the Chamber website and look all the different activities that are going on. And we're really expecting a big crowd, and the Chamber has put a lot of work into this year's parade and the festival and other activities. The Friday night's a game night out at J.W. Wiseman and some other things. Got concert, casino night, movie in the park, carnival, just a lot of different things going on. So just ask everyone to participate. It's always a good time for the city of Portland. So
Is the carnival here again this year?
yes, thank
Is
you.
it at Richland?
At Richland
I
Park.
haven't seen it.
I guess tomorrow night or when I open it up, I know they're moving in. They're over it now. Moving in. So. All right, now we'll go on. Next is public recognition. If anyone in the audience would like to address the council with the item on the agenda, I ask you to do so at this time. Does anyone wish to address the council tonight? Okay, if not, next we go to other business. We have a representative from HCA to bring us up to date on emergency room, Ms. Regina.
Thank you very much, Mayor Wilbur. City Council members, it's my pleasure to be here again. Since we met last time, we've had a lot of work going on for your ER here in Portland, and I would like to just give you an update on that. Mayor Wilbur asked me to come and just give a brief update on where we are. As it turns out, we just had the stack of plans submitted for the city just this week. So you have that already here. What I wanted to do just real quickly was to talk about what we've been working on since we last met. And if I know in front of you, you have the revised floor plans for the ER. And what I did was I brought the board that sort of outlines that, and I really appreciate you guys having already a copy in front of you because that makes it even easier. But up here on the wall, what I did bring was the board that we talked about and talked from the last time that I was here a few months back. And if you'll notice, the floor plan and the scale has changed. A couple of reasons for that. One of the reasons, the primary reason, was the fact that since we were no longer going to be talking about a purchase with the city, that really gave us a lot more options relative to the floor plan and the footprint. So we got our design and construction folks back to the table to help us thinking about how can we redesign, if you will, utilizing more of our footprint, more of our existing footprint. And as you can see right here, the original design was we were trying to carve out as little as possible here to leave more of the existing building for the city's use, but so we had a little bit of a jagged edge here. It was about 13,000 square feet that we were going to be trying to put everything into, and since then we have redesigned to what you have in front of you, which is more along the lines of almost 17,000 square feet footprint. So the good part about that is we have large ER rooms from the smaller ones that we had designed in the original. We have a lot more common space utilization in that space there. The flow is very nice from the imaging standpoint, and Kat Hastings is here with me tonight on the diagnostic side. You can see here, this is all the imaging as it is today, and then imaging goes up into this area as well, and so that space remains untethered, if you will, from having to have a lot of walls coming down and things of that nature. So that's what has been afoot as far as having to redesign and being able to really utilize our space in a little different way. From a date standpoint, which I know you guys are interested in, our design documents were finally completed on April 30th, which have been now turned in to the city. They were filed with the city on May the 3rd. We do not have a general contractor selected yet, so I know that the approval from the city will be pending that. We hope to have that decision made this week. All the bids are out, and so we're waiting for our corporate folks to help us with that decision relative to the general contractor. We filed with the State Health Department on May the 6th. That'll take about 4 weeks, generally speaking, to get those approvals to get started. So our expected start date for taking down walls and doing actually the construction part is slated for the first part of June right now. We are still looking at that being able to be completed by the year end. So we're still anticipating probably a late December grand opening, if you will. If it can be sooner than that, that'd be great. But as you all know, when you get into some of the construction, sometimes you can make headway on some things, and some things take you a little bit longer. So that's our plan at the moment. So by June, you should really start seeing some construction beginning to happen. So with that, I will open it up for any questions or any comments that you've got for us. Mayor, was there anything in particular that else you wanted me to speak on?
I think the main thing, all we're anxious to see construction.
Mhm,
We all
absolutely,
are visual and
absolutely.
need to, so.
Yeah,
Makes
yeah,
everybody feel
we're
better.
excited now. Of course, there's been a lot of work going on outside of the construction too, as you can imagine. Our ER director, Sherry Cox, and Dr. Harrison have been working on the staffing for the ER and the physician staffing for the ER. So all that work certainly is underway and going on. That takes a good deal of time to get that planned out. But we see no reason why we shouldn't be on that end of the year timeline.
I'm trying to get my bearings
Uh-huh.
here. You know, I go to the doctor over in the medical office building. If they send somebody for testing in the imaging department from the medical office building, are they gonna have to go out and around now, or there be out and around?
The idea, the plan is that they would have to come around and go back in here, because all this will be, well, it'll be over here now, but all this will be like hard-walled. Because the one thing you want to be careful about, particularly with an ER, is that you really don't have someone kind of coming through this way and maybe falling out, getting lost or whatever. So it's really important that we have the entryway very clearly delineated.
So there'll be an exterior entryway into the imaging department.
Yeah, it will be right here where the main entry is today, which is now the ER, is the ambulance bay right now. That will become the main entrance for the walk-in ER and the imaging patients. And then there will be a new ambulance entry over here on the side of the building.
Are you still doing the outside of the building like the
We'll probably,
architectural drawing you showed
we'll
us?
probably do a little bit of the facade outside.
It won't be
I'm
like-
not sure exactly how it'll end up being rendered, since we had to move. We kind of had to move this over to here, so then we'll have another entrance. The original drawing had an entrance right here, drawn in, with the ambulance staying here. So now, since this is going to be the walk-in, this will be the ambulance. So we'll just see what we do with that existing front.
Very little exterior work done, right?
Probably will end up being not a whole lot of exterior work.
I know the day they had the groundbreaking, wall tearing down, whatever you want to call it, that you may go through the different types of ER rooms that you have now, like the security room and so forth. And so.
Yeah, let me see here if I can kind of show you that.
I thought
It's
that's
going to
kinda
have, again, back over here, they were all kind of scrunched in over here. So now that we are using these rooms on the side, which were some of the existing med-surg rooms, so they're large rooms. They have plenty of room in them, bigger than what a typical ER from the ground up is designed now. So that's nice. But we have a total of 7 rooms, general purpose. We have one pediatric room, which is right here. We have one isolation room, which is right here. And then we have one trauma room, which is right back here in the back for those trauma patients that come in.
How many patients will be able to accommodate at the time?
Oh, we have 7 rooms, so you could do 7 at a time. And keep in mind, when I was here before, we talked about expected volumes. When we had the ER open before, we were seeing an average of 24 to 26 patients a day in a 24-hour period. So we feel very comfortable that we'll be able to accommodate, anybody that comes without any undue delay. Then we also have the capability of course, if anything from a disaster standpoint happens, then we have a lot of capacity also from that standpoint too.
Okay.
So we feel very comfortable. We're in the event that we need more capacity at some point in time, with the way this is designed, we can push rooms right back this way. because if you see on your plan here, you got a staff lounge here, an office here, storage here, office here. So those are kind of designed to be able to be retrofitted for patient rooms if we need those in the future. Kat, anything you want to add?
Most of the work right now that's been going on is checking out the ductwork. It is a 30-year-old building, so there's been a lot of internal stuff. That's why we haven't seen a lot out. Been checking on floors, checking on walls, finding out where ducts go. They found some ducts that stop. Don't know why, but just stop, and they got to reroute and figure out how to get air and all that to the different rooms. So even though the outside hasn't had anything happen, I've been showing an awful lot of people all the different rooms and getting ready for the demolition day. So a lot of work has occurred.
All right, anybody else got
Any other
We
questions?
appreciate the update.
Absolutely, and when we actually get going and you start seeing some things, we want to do some more regular discussion with the media here, the radio stations, everything, because I know the public's going to be really wanting to really hear the progress when we actually start moving. So we're really looking forward to that. So, okay, thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, appreciate it. All right, we'll move on to the business of the meeting. I don't think, as of night, we have anything under planning commission, Vice Mayor, do we?
No, sir, there's nothing on the plan this week.
And we do not have anything under finance or public works.
What's
Parks.
What's the hold up on the sewer down here, do you know?
They've got the station set, and I think he's just waiting for it to dry up. He got started and started those rain and got that one, so I'll check, but I mean, he's been told to go ahead, so just, I think, when he gets these, because they've got, I know they was getting electrical done and all that for the pumps, so they could go ahead, so they've got that set and so forth, so.
Now that you're on the topic of the weather, I was gonna ask, are we okay on the fire hall? We had no flooding or anything in all the rain we had?
I've not been, last time I checked, we didn't have any rain this weekend, did we?
Not a drop. I guarantee you, if it didn't flood these last 2 weekends, this isn't gonna.
That's what we wanted to hear.
Unless somebody starts building an ark outside.
That's right.
Well, that sounds good.
Very good. All right, next we got one resolution for a volunteer firefighter. Mr. Callis, you wanna, where's that?
Resolution 13-44, a resolution to hire a volunteer firefighter for the city of Portland. The name submitted is, I can't read that writing, but the last name is Knuckles, is that correct?
Yeah, Jessica and.
Jessica Ann, okay. All right, move to approve.
Have a motion approved, we have a second.
Second.
Is any comments or questions?
Is that George's wife?
Yes.
Yeah.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Next we go into legislative. Ordinance 13-09, this is a second reading. An ordinance authorized adoption of job description for the position of collections and building manager as for the city of Portland. We have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Comments or questions?
Are we ready to move on this position? I think y'all been taking in.
Yeah, the application deadline was Friday. And I believe I'm correct, we had 81 applications and 6 or 7 requests internals. So a total of 87, I believe it was, applications.
Ought to be able to get a good person
Ought
out
to
of
be
that.
able to, so.
Well, you know, one of the reasons it may be, and I'm not trying to discredit anybody's, their worthiness in pay, but I was somewhat kind of concerned about the pay range on that position, because it seemed like it started out at, 18 something an hour? It just seemed like it was a high range to me for,
Well, it's,
I don't know if that's where the person that left it, but they had topped out, I guess, there. It seemed like to me that we're starting out an awful expensive salary.
I mean, it's a top line position. It's like a department head position, really, when you get down to it. So. A lot of responsibility, all the money and collections and I think that's why-
Is this the same job Ellen's doing?
It's the same
Same
job
duties.
expanded, in the respect that we're currently, Ellen winds up most of the time on the window, dealing directly, taking receipts and that. This position will be more managing, where other people will be on the window. They'll be looking at delinquencies, following up on delinquencies, uncollectibles, whatever, so that we can get a lot more focus on the fact that we're not getting paid in some areas and they fall through, never get collected. So we want to try to improve our overall collection ability.
Does this mean he'll have to be another employee hired in?
Well, we already approved a part-time, and we're doing it on a part-time basis when we fill them in that way, so we don't have to do the benefits.
And you also said we had some internal applicants. Okay.
Any other questions or comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next, have resolution 13-45. It's a resolution to reappoint one member to the Portland Airport Authority. That would be Mr. Doug Hunter to serve another 5-year term. His term to expire May the 15th of 2018.
So moved.
Have a motion, to have a second.
Second.
Any comments or questions? Hunter?
He's a good man. I know him. I've known him for many years. And he's done an excellent job.
Sure.
I'd like to rib him occasionally, but I'm not even gonna do that tonight,
Since he's not here.
since he's not here.
Yeah, he never misses a meeting except tonight. What's
Well,
that all
he's,
about?
I think his schedule's, I think he said he had to work tonight, I believe. I think he's, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next, we have resolution 13-46. It's a resolution to authorize the mayor to enter into a consultant service agreement with Cheryl Morgan and Associates. Have a motion to get it on the floor.
So moved.
Have a second.
Second.
This is what we had presentations on and discussed in work study to take a very, very good look at our health insurance. And this is an agreement to enter that with them to do that work. So questions or comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Can we have one no, Mr. White? Next, we have resolution 1347. Excuse me, I'm a little slow here. It's a resolution authorizing the city to advertise to request for proposals for architect for the city of Portland. This is where we talked in work study about having an architect come in and see if there's possibilities on this building for expansions. And this will involve, public meetings with everybody here, staff, public, and the council to come up with a conceptual floor plan.
Move to approve.
Have a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second that one.
Any comments or questions?
I've got one comment to make, just to kind of put it out there. We were talking about the upgrade to this building being about $1 million, right? Is that the number that we threw out there?
That was the budget we were in. Yeah.
Just keep in mind that the remainder of the hospital and the 50 acres that came with it was just a little over $1 million. Just, I think that'd be a hard sell for me to spend $1 million here when we can add very little to it and have the 50 acres, the hospital, the entire property out there. Seems like it's a lot better money spent over there than spending it on this building. That's just kind of from the outside looking in before we look at hard figures.
That includes that doctor's office building on the left going in, maintenance garage and all that.
Right.
I mean, it's just.
Well, it was about 3 million, wasn't it, instead of a million
No.
and a half?
It started
To
out
buy
at
it.
3 million.
Started
Buying
out,
the property,
Well-
first time you do some add-ons, you're gonna increase that number, but.
Oh, well,
you're-
yeah,
but
absolutely.
still,
you're going to spend $1.5 million to get it ready to move in.
Yeah, it was, but to purchase is what I said. To purchase it was a little over $1 million, and
Well, if they'd take all the restrictions off of it, I wouldn't mind it, but I'm not gonna obligate the city for 99 years for nothing. Myself.
I'm gonna vote to approve this, to explore, to get some numbers, but I'm not quite sure how I feel about expanding here. I'd really like to try and get City Hall on a more highly trafficked, more visible area sometime in the future.
And I'm kinda like you, I mean, Yeah, I think Brian made a very good point. I think, you know, dollar for dollar, we could probably do something better, but sometimes you gotta spend a little money to find out. We may find out to meet current codes, parking issues, things like that. We may have some issues here that we always may wonder about, so I think it's gonna be good to find out exactly what can and cannot be done, and that way it will at least put us in another direction if we need to go.
What's this architect gonna cost us?
Well, we had talked about in work study, put a maximum not to exceed 20,000, but hopefully it don't cost that much, but not to exceed 20.
We're not talking about actual plan drawings, we're just wanting to get a conceptual plan and look at all the layout and everything, and with all the existing lines and that.
Seems a little.
That's
high.
pricey to get an idea.
Yeah,
That'd be
I didn't think
more
it was
than
that much.
I didn't either.
Well, I mean, the main thing they're gonna be doing, whoever will be doing a lot of meetings, they'll need to meet with staff, need to meet with all the council, doing some public, you know, to get an idea of what the future need is, you know, what are the shortfalls now, what are the needs, security issues, things like that. Hopefully we'll get a whole lot cheaper than that, 'cause there's a number we came up not to exceed in work study we talked about.
Hmm.
Which we had done the same thing, if you remember, when we were at the hospital, and we had like a not to exceed 15 on there on that one, so I think it'd be somewhere in that
I don't
neighborhood.
wanna do no $20,000, I think that's too much.
Well, I'm more concerned about the availability of the city hall to the citizens than I am the, being out on the main highway where all the traffic's at, where it can be seen. Availability means more to me than that, and this thing's been here all these years. And there's so many people, residential around here, that walk and take care of their business. So, I know it'd look pretty out on 109, but it wouldn't be as accessible.
Doesn't traffic kind of mean more people are there?
I don't know why any more people would come. Only people come to City Hall to pay bills.
Well, no, I understand, but higher traffic just seems like that's kind of seems more accessible to me. It's kind of how it strikes me.
What I'm talking about is getting out and in off 109 and,
Well, if we expand here, we're gonna have to, it's gonna include a lot of our parking area now. I think that one part of it, and I'm not against having somebody look at it. I don't know that I'm necessarily on board for $20,000 to have somebody look at it. But one of the big things is gonna be parking here.
well, we got this lot over here.
Well, I mean, that's gonna have to be paved too.
Y'all wanna amend that and put a cap of 10,000 on it? Maybe keep the price down there and see if they won't do it for that, then they won't do it.
I mean, is there a way to find out what it's gonna cost before we do it?
We
I mean,
can ask for-
that, are we obligated to have them do it then, or?
I mean, we can ask for RFPs, take the amount out of it, just ask for RFPs.
That's kind of what I thought we were doing.
That's what I
I don't remember talking about $20,000.
Yeah, 'cause if you set a dollar amount out there, it's gonna cost you that.
I mean, we can remove that out of there and then go ahead and do RFPs and then the amount comes back with it.
I would be more comfortable doing that.
I'd rather see the cost before I vote for it.
Okay. We'll have a motion to amend to go ahead and do the request for proposal and, take the amount out and have the amount be included in part of their proposal.
So move.
Have a second?
Second.
On the amendment only, any questions on the amendment only? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, back to the original. Any other comments or questions on the original?
It might be a good idea to have maybe a work study or two about this to where we can figure out, like you were saying, that they would have to meet with everybody and
right.
try to figure this and figure that. Maybe if we had a lot of that mapped out prior to involving them, or we could just hand them, this is what we want, rather than them having to come in and meet and I mean, it seems like that could be something we could figure out among ourselves without it costing anything.
Well, if we do that,
Well, but, I mean, yes, and I mean, I think it's good for them to hear from everybody. They would interview employees and, you know, kind of get several different, I mean, yes and no, I mean,
No, I understand, but
Yeah.
it just seems like it seems like there's probably a lot of footwork that we can do without them charging us by the hour for us to do it.
if we do something like that, I think it ought to be dedicated to that and that alone, and not add
Yeah,
right.
I agree.
14 more things into the agenda.
I agree, because it'll get thrown out at the end of it every time.
just real quickly, is there any of us here opposed to seeing a need for more space? Or do we all feel like we need more space? The reason why I ask that,
Probably need to expand, yes.
well, the reason why I ask this is 'cause we're gonna hit the same roadblock we've been hitting every year for the last 10 years. And we throw out 27 different ideas. We end up doing nothing at the end of the day. And we just make no progress. I think that if we believe that we want to have the adequate space, make a nice facility as well. We get mad when somebody tries to throw a pole barn up in our community. Last thing we want to do is throw a pole barn up as a city hall either. So we want to make sure we got a nice facility, we got the adequate space, and sometimes it requires bringing somebody in who can look at it objectively, who's a professional besides us, without all of our little ideas getting involved, and say, hey, this is based on what I see your need is, based on what I hear, this is my proposal. And I don't know, I have found sometimes that when we get involved too much, we don't do much. And sometimes it's better off having somebody else come in. That's just my opinion. But I think we could use some space. I think we could use a place where the community could come in. I know it's not often tonight. We don't have many people here, but sometimes we do. We don't have a place for them.
Right.
Be nice to have that. Be nice to have the adequate office space, the storage space, the ease for the people to come in and out safely, and to protect our employees the way things are anymore. We don't want people coming in from 27 doors. And you know, I'd like to see somebody come in and just, and as the mayor said, maybe it is. Maybe they need to come in and say, guys, this building's not going to work. This spot's not going to work for you in town. You just need to give up on it. And maybe you need to go somewhere else. I don't know the answers to that, but I'd like to see somebody come in and kind of tell us what their thoughts are that does it for a living. Just my opinion.
Well, but are you opposed to having the RFPs where there's not a cap on it, or there's
No,
not
I'm not opposed.
$20,000?
No, I'm not opposed. I don't.
And they'll be in their RFPs of what kind of meetings they want, so we can, as we go through them, we can, every who we pick, we may want to adjust that with them. So,
Well, I mean, I think it's more responsible to do it that way than just say, well, let's just spend $20,000 and try to figure out if somebody's gonna tell us this building's gonna work or not. And maybe we need some more room, maybe we don't. You know, if we can at least find out what it's gonna cost to where we all know what it's gonna cost
Right.
before we vote
Okay,
yes or
that's
no.
fine.
to
And what we're
something.
gonna get from it.
Yeah,
Right.
and what that's gonna
What-
get us,
what-
because right now it's
what kind of
kind of
deliverables
what
at the
they
end
need
and
to
so
do.
forth.
Yeah, I have no problem with just sending out an RFP and allowing them to come tell us, and they may tell us it's 45,000. And, you know, I don't know, because I know that architecture firms differ from place to place and about what they want to do, so we may have to make sure the scope that we're asking for is,
Right.
you know, kind of tell them what we're looking for there. But for somebody to come in and take a serious look, they're going to have to spend a little time in here
Right there.
and look at some things and what we think the needs are within. Because, I mean, if we're building something, we're not building it for a year, we're building it for, 20.
Yeah, because, I mean, this building was, what, 71, 72, 73, so part we're in now,
We have
so
to really
it's a
think.
30, 40
And
year.
unlike you, parking is going to be a serious need. I don't know what we have space between here. You know, we've talked about the green space there
Right.
close to Rebel. I don't know what can be used and what can't. I have no idea.
So that'd be,
I don't like it that, and of course, the design's not in yet, but from the way it looks like it's gonna go, no matter where you park, you're gonna have to cross the street to get in the building.
a certain amount of people will,
Yeah.
so.
It was designed that way, it's always been that way, and if you stay here, you're always gonna have.
That's what I'm saying,
Yeah.
I don't really like that.
Well, we can put it out, and we don't have to accept any proposal.
Well, yeah, I mean, I would,
I
it's
mean, we
kinda
don't
like
have-
Mike said, I think it's worth it just to get an idea of what we
Right,
can and
right,
can't
that's what I'm saying.
do.
We can put it out, then we can, from the proposals back, we may decide to go another
I mean,
direction.
it
but-
may be time to say we can't
Right.
in reality.
That may
Unless
actually-
we're
Well, that's
buying-
what I was
unless we're gonna
saying.
buy up
I
some,
wouldn't mean not do, but I mean, just,
some
you know,
land or
get
something. I
back
don't
and,
know. So.
One
Well-
question was brought up was the hospital building too. Do we want to, in the RFP, have look here, look there thing, comparative?
They've already, I don't wanna mess up
15 on
anything
that.
with the,
No, I mean,
With
we
the
would have
ER.
to let them go what they are, but then
Mhm.
the question is, okay, is there still enough room to do something?
Yeah,
I don't think we want, just
Well,
my
we
opinion,
could.
I don't think we want any part of that hospital building. Now, the land and some of the other buildings around it might be a different story.
What we could do in this RFP is ask them to compare cost-wise, what they were looking to be doing here versus if you built all over, just get a cost comparison. I don't think it would add much more to it to get them, not necessarily give them a place per se, but just if you built this building, take the land out of it. If you had to build a new building, roughly what are you talking about versus what you're talking about remodeling?
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, then the land would be something you deal with later.
And that's always wise to do. I mean, sometimes it depends on what you get into. Your remodeling costs can be a whole lot higher
Right.
than new build. I don't know.
You know, I thought about this quite a bit, but, and like I said, the building out there, what they're doing, I'm like him, I don't wanna interrupt that at all. But now, some of that property out there and the building, and not that particular building, but the property surrounding it.
Very attractive.
Yes. It is. It's,
Especially the fact that it goes over Longview, so there's another entrance and exit over there. You've got
Yeah.
multiple places come in and out. And
I'm just thinking that building, if you open that thing up and start remodeling, I've seen remodeling projects with Sumner County and other places that went out of sight. You don't wanna take an old building
Well, I
like
mean,
that
it's
and
like,
start
you know, even
remodeling.
she said with them, you know, when you get into it, you may find some things that are gonna slow you down a little bit.
Exactly.
So. Well, we'll go ahead and move with this, and we'll add that to the scope and maybe a comparison of a whole new versus remodeling cost, just as
And that
no
may be,
factor of location, just
and
the
that may
building.
be what you want to do. I don't know. You know, same way we did with the brokers. We kind of told them, so this is kind of what we're looking for. Come tell us, and let
Right.
us share with you what we're doing. And you
Oh,
may have-
definitely, you would want them.
Yeah,
to-
you may have a couple, three come in here and say, this is what we're doing. Well, you know, each of us tell us what you're gonna cost for that. I don't know.
Okay.
I would still like to see that kept in the picture as far as the property.
Right. Okay.
Well, the city spent a whole lot more than $20,000 in the last few years moving public works around. On this building over here, on that building
I
over
know.
there. No,
And that was another, and the reason why is because, you know, the council never could get settled on anything. And then we got pressed by the economy and what we're gonna do and how we're gonna do it. You know, we started out doing the building over here and couldn't figure out how to do this. Were we gonna buy this one? I mean, we were all over the place because we never had a really plan, and all of us had our hands in the pot. And every time we do that, it just, you know, kind of slips away from us sometimes, I guess.
Well, let's go ahead and, if everybody could put it out, we'll add that to the scope, and then we'll
Yeah.
have them come and make presentations, and
we had ideas in the pot, not our hand in the pot.
Yeah. However you want to work it out, brother.
We'll clarify that.
all right, any other discussion on this item? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Next, I got three other items on the legislative. We had talked about, we've gotten a fast track grant through Shoals for improving the sewer system through College Street, Evergreen, that area there, and we have passed the contract with the state, but I thought we had passed the contract with the engineer and the administrator, and we had not. So that's what we're doing tonight, is passing, first reading the contract with the engineering firm and the administrator to proceed with this fast track grant. There's an ordinance authorized contract between the City of Portland and Jacobs Engineering for engineering services fast track project for sewer improvements for Shoals Technology Group, which actually, it's through them we're able to get it, through, like I say, the College Street, Evergreen, that area out through there, Harris Street. Have a motion, get it on the floor.
So moved.
Have a second.
Second?
Comments or questions?
how long has this been going on? Seems like this Shoals Technology Sewer Project, how long has this been going on?
It's been in the works for quite some time. We just finally got the approvals, really, when we passed contract about 3 months ago with the state. There had been some information and been some upgrades and different things. It's been in talks probably a year or two, but we just finally got the paperwork to move forward in the last few months. Any other comments or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next is ordinance 13-13. It's the first read also. Ordinance authorized contract between the City of Portland, Lee and Cox for administrative services for fast track grant for the same project. Have a motion, get it on the floor. Do
So moved.
I have a second? Is there any comments or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? One last item on the legislative is the add-on. Tricia laid in front of you a copy of the letter. What this is the project that we just had done on Lake Springs Road. It was a state industrial access project for O-House and Federated Petals and for that whole area. And the state had agreed to a contract extension of time, and we need to agree to this time in order to get our last money back from the state. That's basically all it's doing. The price hadn't changed or anything. It's just an extension of time. So I'd ask for a motion to get it on the floor.
So moved.
Have a second.
Second.
Is any comments or questions? Like I say, the project has been completed. It's just the final paperwork and getting things resolved. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we don't have anything else other than Brian. We have a couple under alcohol and beverage board.
Ordinance number 13-10, an ordinance to amend Title 8, Section 8217 of the Municipal Code of the City of Portland. This is whereas the City Council of the City of Portland has determined that it is necessary to provide an exception to the limitation on the number of beer licenses to be authorized within any municipal boundaries of the City of Portland. This excludes establishments with 5,000 square feet of retail space or more, and it excludes establishments that have a liquor license from our limitation number of one per a certain number of people in the city. Move to approve.
I have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
So we have a second. Comments or questions?
I just appreciate their work on that, you know. We don't always agree on this kind of stuff. I'm kind of not, I'm not for any more permits, period. That's just where I stand and some other citizens in town. But the good thing is we're able to sit here and talk about these things, though we may sit on different sides and be able to work our way through it. So I appreciate that anyway. Though I had to vote no.
All right, thank you. Any other comments or questions?
This was a compromise that came about, and I think it's a workable compromise. Sitting before the first reading, and even in the discussion leading up before we came up with this compromise, if it came down to keeping the cap where it is, knowing people like I do and looking around the table, you can kind of know how a lot of them are going to vote, and I kind of foresaw a situation to where the cap may be taken off altogether, and I wouldn't be able to stop it. Right. And so this compromise at least keeps a cap in place, which I think is a good thing.
Right.
And a lot better than what the alternative probably would have wound up being.
It keeps a lot of control with the council, even though you are adding a few, still keeps a lot of control with the council. All right, anybody else, any comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
I have one no, Mr. Callis. All right, Brian, you got one more?
Ordinance number 13-11, an ordinance to amend Title 8, Section 8210 of the Municipal Code of the City of Portland. This is to allow businesses that have a liquor license to not be affected by our distance requirements. Meaning that since places that sell liquor by the drink can basically set up anywhere they want to, this would eliminate our restrictions from the beer standpoint. Now move to approve.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions? Like I said, this is first reading.
And I think David did a good job of wording this also, for it to mean what we were.
He did. I had to read it 2 or 3 times before I even knew what it was talking about. So it's got some good legal terms
That's
in
right.
there. He did a good job on that.
Well, I mean, it's simple. It's very simple, but you don't come across it that way.
Yeah, no, it's got to have all that legal stuff in there.
All right, any other comments or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Okay, Mr. Callis, no.
I know,
And while you're under the, I know we didn't add this to the agenda, but while you're under the alcohol beverage board section, did all y'all see the email that, TML sent out about the distilleries? It's something that the city can opt out if they wanna do that. State of Tennessee has recently adopted a new law that if you have liquor by the drink and packaged retail stores both in your community, that the way it stands now, they can actually, someone can come in and open up a distillery and make whatever they want to do, I guess moonshine or whiskey or whatever here, and there is an option in there now to where you can opt out of that, to where they cannot come into your community and do that if you want to opt out of that law. But the way it is right now, it's wide open and they can do that with that new law they passed. So maybe something you want to look at.
I know that, and one thing that you would have to be aware, I know from our standpoint, they would require a lot of water. I mean, literally, and
Right.
we've talked about things like this, if in any industry, whether it be automotive or distillery of any size, that really affects us because of our water supplies that we've never settled down. If somebody said we wanted to recruit you, an industry uses a lot of water, it's gonna be difficult for us until we can figure out some stuff.
What does, speaking of that, just curiosity, the winery out here, does anybody know about how much water they use a month?
I did know one time, it's not a tremendous amount.
It's not a very big
but they-
operation.
they- But, I mean, sometimes they do, but it's not an average, a real high average. But that is one of the, if y'all are not getting your TML updates, let us know, or, we need to get, because they should be, they've got all y'all's emails, they should be getting unless they've got, but,
Their heading in their email actually said is a TML alert that said distilleries are coming to town.
That's what I know. I was reading and I was like, really? I mean, it was
And
kinda
it's,
See
like,
that?
it says, well, they soon be making liquor and beer in your town, and it's something that they adopted, allows for that, but the cities have the option to opt out of it if they want out of it. So maybe
that is
people-
one of the reasons where this big debate came up over the tax this year, because the distilleries, evidently, the mini breweries are getting to be very, very popular again.
Mhm.
Especially around your tourist tracks and around Knoxville, Gatlinburg.
And this is a
places
state
like
line,
that.
so it could,
And so that was one of the things with taxes, they were being taxed, the high tax, where other people were not. So that's one reason they looked at changing the way they get paid or taxed on the beer and so forth. That's what actually got that discussion going.
that would be an interesting thing. I mean, I don't have no idea, but I was just, a major operation like you have in Lynchburg or somewhere
Mhm.
like that, how much water do they?
I'm sure
Go
they
through,
go
that
through
would've been-
millions of gallons.
been
probably.
interesting
Many
thing to
probably,
know.
if they were selling on site, probably wouldn't be that much, but anyway, yeah, that would, and then you'd have to have a pre-treatment permit and so forth.
Well, if we run out of water, we have a lot of whiskey to drink that way.
All right, anything else for the meeting? Without objection, we'll adjourn the meeting. Like I say, now Doug's got a couple things he'd like to